Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to Primary Market Chatter brought to you by Sunday Investing. This is our August 4th week episode, and we'll be talking about the companies which are coming in. This time, so sorry, we lost track of dates, and that is why we couldn't do the two issues. And it was something which was communicated to us by a couple of kind folks as well. Sorry about that, but yeah, हमने उस वक्त उसका review डाल दिया था written में. The two companies which we felt were decent. We are missing out on a few companies, but it's just that there are so many issues it is becoming difficult to put a review for everything. So kindly bear with us while we still try and perfect this format. For today, all five of us will be here and we'll be reviewing one company each majorly, and then Sachin will be doing two. So what we'll be doing is we'll be reviewing one Mainboard, Vikran Engineering, and then we'll also be talking about five SMEs. We'll be doing Anondita Classic, although the review for both the IPO application date for both has been completed, but sorry about that. And we'll also be talking about Curren Infra, NIS, Sattva, and that's pretty much it, the five companies. Sattva we have added later because मैंने जब पहले list बनाई थी तो we didn't see Sattva, and it's somehow still going very under the radar. It is a Vivro issue, so we thought we'll review it. But yeah, that is the agenda for today. Before we actually get started, just want to again highlight that with our favorite housekeeping announcements, we are not SEBI registered research analyst. ये जो हम review करते हैं, this is not qualified opinion in any possible way. Think of it as just two folks, four folks, five folks chatting about what companies they are going to do, what they are going to apply with. Do your due diligence. आप अपना diligence खुद से करें, अपने investment manager से बात करें, उसके basis पे ही apply या not apply, whatever you decide to do. Because we don't understand your circumstances, you don't understand our circumstances. So it's important to take it only as educational content where we are discussing companies. So having said that, that is the first housekeeping announcement. Second, as I always say that if you have not joined our YouTube channel, please go ahead and do that. Link is in the pinned comments. Pinned comments में आपको दिख रहा होगा Sunday Investing. यहाँ पे जो भी हम reviews करते हैं companies के, I post that that on our space. So I will put today's company's review by tomorrow. So definitely subscribe to the channel as well. With that, we were at Alpha Ideas last week. It was a great event. Thank you so much for everyone for just interacting with us. I know this time name tags nahi the, so it is difficult to put face to the name, but yeah, we interacted with a lot of people and it was a lot of fun. So thank you so much for giving us that love as well. And just interacting, it's always like, it feels like day one every time that I talk to people. There's so much to learn and so much to know, and we're just the student of the game, still very naive, for the lack of a better word. And in terms of like, I had a few requests with respect to covering uh, companies on Alpha Ideas. I think there are many channels out there who have done a very good job with respect to cover the companies which came on Alpha, and there's only so much value add that we can do. So we will probably be skipping it. उसके अलावा just want to highlight that if you have not joined, go ahead and YouTube पे ना उनका चैनल भी है अल्फा SME स्टार्स करके, वो भी आप एक बार सर्च करके ज्वाइन कर लीजिएगा. उस पे जो कंपनीज ने प्रेजेंट किया, they will put their reviews there in like let's say 2 weeks or 4 weeks. So there's a timeline through which they review, put all the videos there. So that will give you a good understanding of all the companies which came in and spoke. So do that. Hearing from the horse's mouth is always better. So with that, maybe we can get started on the episode. We'll try and keep it tight. But before that, I know Yash was there, Tanmay was there, and Rohit was also there. Anything that you have to add on Alpha without specifically covering the companies?
Nothing specific, Manish. Like you said, just good to put faces to names. That was the most important value add of that event.
Perfect. Yash has shown a 100 emoji, so I'm assuming it means that he also has the same thing to say. Yeah, with that, just want to still highlight कि जब हम companies का review कर रहे हैं, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat box as well. We'll take questions. The first question is, will Enlon be covered? Enlon we are not covering. It's a smallish issue with no QIP from what I understood. Plus, we were short on time, so we are not covering Enlon today. But Enlon and Globtier are the two companies we are not covering, and honestly, we haven't read. So, doing a half big job would make much sense. So, but if we still read them through the week, we'll post our reviews like we had done for Anondita and Classic. So, with that, maybe we'll probably start with Anondita Medicare. Let me set up Anondita Medicare for Rohit, and we'll try and keep it short simply because I understand the IPO application is over. Set up in 1999, company manufactures flavored male condoms with the flagship product branded under Cobra. It produces 562 million condoms annually and is a company has manufacturing facility situated in Noida. It's a 70 CR IPO, so big size IPO, 70 crores का IPO at a market cap of 262 crores. So around 28% का dilution है. थोड़ा प्री IPO भी है, which is good. In terms of FY25 financials, the company did a revenue of 77 crores, 77 crore का revenue था, and bottom line of 16 crores. So 16 crores, they are coming at 262 crores, so somewhere around 17 P if I get the maths right. In terms of the LM is Nanolia Financial, which is a decent LM. Sri Ref was their last issue, if I'm not wrong. And, yeah. With that, maybe over to you, Rohit, to talk about Anondita.
Thanks, Manish. So this review will be similar to what I had posted on Twitter. So I'll keep this short, but I'll just try to explain one, two things that maybe the Twitter character limit doesn't fully allow. So as he said, this is a 70 crore issue, so decent size. They are a manufacturer of condoms, currently male condoms only, which they sell in two ways. One is marketed under this Cobra brand, and the other is by white labeling. So if you look at their standalone business, they did around 60 crore last year. Of that, 35 crore of that business actually is to government agencies, which is essentially white labeling. And 25 crore is actually through their own distributor and stockist network, which is what actually sells with that Cobra brand. Now, this itself is not an uncommon practice. This is how most, I would say, in this segment, many companies start out like this, because the B2G route, or the government itself is one of the largest buyers of condoms because of public health programs, whether it is for family planning or for AIDS prevention and stuff like that. So this allows manufacturers to create that kind of, steady demand, run your plant at full capacity when you know that there's this one big buyer. It also allows you to prove the product. And most businesses eventually move from B2G to B2C. I mean, they'll continue to do B2G, but then they will add on B2C as they scale, which is what Anondita is doing. And Anondita is already in that, or they've already gotten to a scale where they've also launched their brand, or the branded condom, which is that Cobra brand. Now they are using these funds, 70 crore, they're using, I think, 45, okay, I'm forgetting the number exact now, but I think about 45 crore they have said they'll be using for a combination of capex, which is around 6 crore, and the remaining for working capital. Rest will fall into your GCP. From a capex standpoint, today they can manufacture up to 560 million condoms if they were to operate in 3 shifts. But today they're operating only in 2, and I'm not sure if they can operate in 3 shifts or whether that's feasible or not. Even if I take that, okay, they can operate in 2 shifts, you can say that they probably can manufacture 350 million condoms, and they manufacture about 260 million or so. So they're near capacity if you consider just 2 shifts. But you can see that they're the new capacity that they're adding, plus the work in progress that's already there. It looks like that they should be able to expand that capacity, whatever their operating capacity, whether it is 560 or 560 into 2 by 3. That number can go up by 2.5x. So it looks like capacity itself should not be a problem. And that is something that they're solving, either proactively or because they're close to capacity from an actual utilization standpoint. Overall, the numbers are very strong. They did about 77 crore last year, if you include their subsidiary also, which was rolled into this business last year, with 33% EBITDA, 21% PAT. This is very much in line with Cupid, which is the one listed pair, and I'll cover that. Overall, the business is also growing. If you look at standalone business, it has grown at around 30-35%. With the addition of a subsidiary, it's grown by about 60%. One thing is their cash flows are slightly negative. This is mainly because of B2G. So you do have fairly high receivable days. It's not like a typical, consumer business. When you have a government component, there will always be some stress in cash flows, which is why they are obviously raising working capital money. If you look at their projections, they are saying they will go from 60 crore to 100 crore. 60 crore is the standalone business to 100 crore in FY26. So that's overall about 60 odd percent growth. So if you take that at an overall console level also, they can maybe do about 115, 120 crore for this year, which is very, very good, very healthy growth. Of course, this is not a guidance that they've given. It's always a little risky with working capital calculations, but unfortunately, this is the best we have to go on, given we don't have an interview. They also have a fairly strong order book of about 90 crore or so, and this includes their B2G business and the orders that are booked by their distributors. Now, for this segment, in my view, the biggest question is demand. Now, the government business should be a fairly predictable business. I think they keep winning orders. They have at least visibility for this coming year. The main thing is if they have to grow their B2C business, or say the distributor-led business or their branded business, that is the hard one, right? Because it's not like there is no other competition. There's so many other brands, obviously brands like Manforce or like huge companies like Manforce, obviously Cupid and so on. So that demand piece is for me, the largest question. They had used some celebrities in the past for endorsements. So it shows that they've done a little bit of this, but that piece is what I would want the most clarity on. Again, lack of an interview is the biggest challenge here. So can't understand the promoter directly. So what is the closest proxy that we can take? It is who is in the pre-IPO and who are the anchors. So the pre-IPOs, a decent set of people who were very similar, in my view, to the people who did the pre-IPO in Path Electricals. You guys can look at the names. I won't mention them. And there was also a very, very strong anchor book. And the first time I saw Sage One, which is a fund that I really admire and respect because they are very much a growth-focused fund. They look at companies with growth at reasonable valuations and very, small micro cap, maybe not, but certainly more small cap focused. And it's very interesting to see them for the first time, at least first time that I have seen in an SME. This company is coming at around 16 times. Now there is one peer, like I said, Cupid, and I tried to lay out the difference between this company and Cupid, but Cupid trades at 90 plus multiple. Cupid, so just as a preamble, this price disparity of 16x here and 90x here reminds me very much of Monolithish and Raghav, very different segment spaces, but just as an observation, you have one peer at an obscene multiple and this coming at a very reasonable multiple. So let's see how the market takes that. Now the difference between Cupid and there is a difference though. And unlike say maybe Raghav Mono, very close peers, there is a difference here. So Cupid has two things which are different. One is half their business is export. Export requires even more certifications. It requires some UN certifications, some WHO certifications, and is a moat, or it's certainly one added barrier of entry that this company is applied for and is applying for, but hasn't received yet. So whenever that comes, that will be again, hopefully a step jump in valuation for Anondita as well. But Cupid is half export. And they have far more diverse products. So they've gone into other things like female condoms, IVD kits. They've tested 2-3 other things, some small amount of just consumer products, like perfumes and so on. With Anondita is just saying that they're entering female condoms now. So again, the product mix is still, a little behind. But if you look at the India business of Cupid and the Anondita business, they're very similar. Even Cupid, their India business is largely B2G. They don't really have as much, B2C. It is still small. So it is not, and they're very similar receivable days, very similar kind of cash flows and stuff. So I got the vibe that the businesses are similar. Cupid is just ahead because they've been around for longer. So for me, we've already applied already, but I personally applied full force in this. In terms of what I'll do on listing, will little bit obviously depend on the screen. My main problem here when it comes to holding a company like this for long term is I personally could not see any interviews with the promoters, nor, was I part of any of the pre-IPO roadshows. So that is a gap for me personally when it comes to making a long-term position. But I don't know, let's see. It looks like there is sufficient valuation gap that maybe there is a trade also possible, but that will probably be screen dependent. So let's see how it lists. I'm fairly confident this will list well. It has all those, all the things that I look for personally, for a good listing. It has a good story, good investors, good growth, very niche sector, and is super undervalued versus its peers. So it has all those dynamics together. So I wouldn't be surprised if this lists very well and maybe does well after that also.
Anything that you have on their margins? Couple of questions with respect to margins being super high, and how are they different versus in a B2G versus a B2C setup?
I would imagine B2G would be lower margin generally because it's just a white label product. But right now their margins are very, very similar to Cupid's. They're like marginally lower than Cupid. So I did not find it alarming. Like this is the only other one where you have Cupid is such a direct peer and their margins are similar. So I did not find these guys' margins unusual. One thing with
Understood. And
Cupid though, just one thing. See, we are looking at Cupid as 90 times trailing, which is honestly a little obscene only. But FMCG companies firstly do trade at very high multiples, even if not as high as this. But one thing Cupid does have, and they've promised, like I was just going through their their last year report, and themselves given guidance to grow from 180 crore in FY25 to 335 crore in FY26. They've just Sida given that number. So they are actually saying that they will grow 85% year on year. So that is also one of the reasons why this company is getting such a high multiple. There obviously isn't a direct multiple given here in this because, like I said, there's no interview. But yeah, just keep that in mind. So maybe if Cupid delivers those numbers, it is trading at maybe 50, 55 times 1 year forward. Still very high. But yeah, just to put that number into context.
Understood. That's very helpful. And इसमें कुछ working capital calculations के हिसाब से are they what did you find out what are the
60 odd,
projections?
60, 65%. They've given the working capital projection for the standalone entity, which is the main business at 60 crore business. Then they sell that forward to their distributor, which is to their different distributors, of which one of them is their own subsidiary. So there would be some netting off there, but there is some revenue being booked in the distributor as well and some profits being booked there. So generally when these guys give working capital calculations, it's usually just for the standalone. So the standalone, they're projecting it to grow from 60 to 100. Nothing specifically on the on their subsidiary, which is another, net off, I think it adds some 16, 17 crore top line.
Understood. Understood. Helpful. And then there's one question with respect to them having delays in paying interest on loans, etc. But I'm assuming you're not going too much into it. It's a SME end of the reason
No.
for being a SME, right? So
Correct.
yeah. Perfect. With that, we'll move forward. Just one thing before I move forward to classic electrodes. Ashish has been kind enough to put in the link of Alpha Ideas YouTube channel. I have pinned that in comments on this chat if someone wants to go ahead and subscribe to this channel. They would be usually like there would be a delay of a month or so until they are still processing the videos. But all videos which came on all companies which came on Alpha will have their videos posted here, so you can listen to them when they come live. With that, let me move forward to the second company, which is Classic Electrodes, established in 1997. Company is a prominent Indian manufacturer specializing in welding consumables, including electrodes and MIG wires. It manufactures welding electrodes and provides engineering solutions to domestic and international customers. In terms of the IPO, it's a 41.5 crore IPO, 40 crore ka IPO, market cap 156 crores. So, diluting around 30%, less than 30% in terms of the FY24 financial. So, FY25 का इसका 11 months ही दिया था, which I don't know, like why was it 11 only? But yeah, in terms of the FY24 financials, they did revenue of 195 crores and PAT of 12.3 crores. And like basis FY24, it's coming at like 12, 13 times, and I think similar at FY25 also. You'll understand from Sachin when he's explaining the company in terms of the LM is GYR Capital. So with that, over to you, Sachin, to talk about Classic Electrode.
Am I audible?
Yep.
All right. So I'll keep it short. So this Classic Electrodes, it mainly manufactures different type of electrodes for various industries, be it railway, be it building material, construction industry, steel structure, etc. And this MIG wire thing is used in for welding of specialized steel. So these are their primary products. So they currently operate in two units. One is West Bengal and another is in Haryana. They also had a separate unit in Haryana which was closed in FY23, but their operations were shifted to the current unit. So their utilization has been around 65% for the electrodes and MIG wires as well, around 60% in both the units. In the IPO meet, they are trying. They said that they are trying to increase the utilization, maybe 70 to 80% going ahead, and they also have a spare land available. So that is around 23,000, 24,000 square feet of land is available. So I'm assuming around 6,000 metric ton to 7,000 metric ton would be the capacity that would be added further using the IPO proceeds. So for the IPO proceeds, they are raising around 40 crores, 41 crores, I am assuming. And primary is for working capital around 16 crores. And then they are also repaying some debt around 10 CR. And another is 1.5 CR is for capex. So they already deployed around 9 to 9.5 CR in capex for these machineries in the existing land at West Bengal. And now to complete that setup, they are using this IPO proceeds. So FY23 was 151 CR with 6% EBITDA in revenues, and in FY24 they did around 193 CR with 12% EBITDA. So they mentioned that they are trying to maintain these margins, and in FY25 they what they are projecting and what they tried to say that they have did around 210 CR in revenues with similar EBITDA of 6.5%. The biggest risk here is they haven't grown up much yet. Despite being in operations from 1997, they only have managed to grow in West Bengal, where they derive around 70% of their revenues. And since there are fragmented pockets in other areas as well for this electrodes and welding things, so it's difficult to scale up in other states. So coming to the pricing, it's around 12 to 13 times even on FY25, and what they are projecting for FY26 and 27 is around 20% growth in revenues. In terms of the peers, there are many peers: Diffusion Engineers, D&H India in Mainboard, and then there is Adore Welding as well. One Royal Arc in SME came as well recently. So these Mainboard guys are trading in around 28 to 30 PE region, whereas this Royal Arc, maybe due to the SME and some non-visibility on what they are trying to do, it's trading around 20 times. And which I think this one should also trade near the valuations of Royal Arc. So GYR was the lead manager. It has good repute. Anchors was also decent. Arth was there, and one IMAP India fund was also there. There is also a shareholding from one of the group entities of Kritika Wires, which is already a listed entity in the stock exchanges, but hasn't done quite well yet. So growth is a big concern here. What they are trying to project and what actually might come might differ. So that is one thing to note.
Perfect. Thank you, Sachin. I also applied in this very limited with the view of, I think, listing protect hoga. But yeah, let's see. Like IPO price protect hoga, so it should give some gains. But yeah, let's see. I also went Anondita way. With that, maybe let's move forward to talk about the third company, which is Current Infra. Everything from Anondita gets used in Current Infra, which is good. But let's try and first understand Current Infra. Setting up Current Infra, established in 2013. Companies are infrastructure and renewable energy company offering civil, mechanical, electrical, and water engineering services in the EPC format. Company also engages in hospitality services by leasing a farmhouse property. Setting up the company, it's a 41 crore IPO. 41 crores का IPO है, market cap 153 crores है. So 153 crores पे company जो है वो 42 crores raise कर रहा है, all of which is a fresh issue going into the company. FY25 financials की बात करूँ तो revenue 91 crores है, PAT 9.5 crores है. So they are coming at somewhere around 16 PE trailing. LM की बात करूँ तो LM is Holani Consultants, which has a great name amongst the LMs, is selective in the kind of work it does. But for me, it's a hit and miss. We'll try and understand about it. But yeah, over to you, Yash, to talk about Current Infra.
Cool, Manish. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So, Current Infra is an infrastructure and renewable energy company, majorly delivering civil, mechanical, electrical, and water engineering services. They are more focused in EPC and turnkey of the projects across various sectors like solar, electrical, water, and civil EPC. Their contracts include interior work, uh, road furniture. They are also specialized in engineering consulting in mechanical and electrical and plumbing system, which is called MEP. Along with they also provide project management consulting services. They have also diversified, as Manishu highlighted, in the hospitality through leasing of its own farmhouse property and Yahavi, the farmhouse. So, uh, the business, they are in 12 plus years into the business. They have completed more than 85 projects. Uh, they have an order book of 280 crores. So in terms of what they're doing, they're raising 41 to 45 crores through this IPO. What they want to do is they want to establish a solar power plant. A specific portion of this IPO funds will be deployed in a subsidiary for a project to establish a solar power plant. Uh, the next thing which they want to do is the significant portion is designed for the working capital needs, which aim to reduce the need for the further external loans to complete the ongoing projects. In terms of profitability, the company has demonstrated a decent improvements in net profit over last 3 years. 1.5 crores, say 5 crores, then 9.5 crores in FY24. So top line was 91 crores and PAT was 9.45 crores. So almost 9 to 10% ka profit margins hai. Majorly, as per management, this increased profitability is due to gaining experience and becoming smarter in operations. Their key strategy includes improving the purchasing cost and a strategic shift from accepting mostly subcontracting work, which had tougher margins, to securing more direct orders. तो पहले सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टिंग से धीरे धीरे company is shifting towards more direct orders. Also, what they plan to do is they also plan to change the split. Right now, it was more of a private to government. 70% was private and 30% was more of a government thing. But in they want to gradually migrating towards government project as it gains experience and completion certificates. This strategic move towards potentially larger and more stable public sector contracts, although gives a good experience and completion certificates to the company, but in terms of working capital, it extends the number of days and the bad payment cycle, which is there in the government sector businesses. Geographical expansion also they are doing. They're currently working in 12 states, mostly in the regions like Rajasthan, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Orissa. They add all or they have an ambition to add more states in their portfolio. Right now, the company is mainly into most of electrical EPC, but they've also expanded into water, and its current primary focus is on solar EPC, which they said is a sunshine industry. I highly doubt, given they're coming very late in the IPO and the solar theme, as per the market, is already discounting the next 2 years, next 3 years. That is there. The new business vertical which they're potentially exploring is evolution into the battery storage systems. What I like is Mr. Sunil Singh, which is the managing director and chairman, is very optimistic and confident through how he speaks. He's very, very sorted and speaks about the company as very young and full of energy. So, in short, this is a good business, good promoter. I would say we should apply. One more thing which I like to highlight is the repeat business from their key clients. 92% of the company's revenue comes from the top 10 customers, which also has a track record of receiving high repeat orders from their large players like GR Infra, Wellspun, and DRA, and that is also based on the timely completion and quality of work. So, in short, should apply and see how it performs post listing. The only thing of concern is the sector. The company is coming very late in terms of the solar theme in the market is almost over. The re-rating has been done to many of the companies, and the earnings, the pricing for the earnings growth is left. So I highly doubt that what multiple market would give. But yeah, better than what they're coming in. I think this is coming at 15 times FY24. So the valuations are very good. We should apply and see how it performs post listing.
Perfect. Thank you, Yash, for the sweet and short review. Very similar review for me as well. I'll be applying, but don't plan to hold this sector for long. Not very bullish on the sector per se, especially because I feel that a lot of re-rating has happened, was to happen, and this is one of the late entrants in the industry. Yeah, with that, maybe we can move forward to the fourth company. Before I talk about the fourth company, there are a couple of questions with respect to Mangal Electrical. The thing is, we have already covered Mangal Electrical in our last meet. So if you want to listen to Mangal, go ahead and go to this channel. The first video should have a specific 10-15 minute section on Mangal, so don't want to repeat anything on that. So go ahead and follow the YouTube channel and listen to Mangal there if you want to know about our view. Because we have already covered it. So in the interest of time, moving forward, talking about the fourth company, which is NIS Management. Setting up NIS Management incorporated in 1985, so a super old company, 40 years. Companies engaged in the business of security and facility management based in Kolkata. It offers range of services including manned guards, electronic surveillance, facility management, payroll processing, and housekeeping. In terms of the IPO, setting up the IPO is a 60 crore IPO, big IPO. 52 crore is the fresh issue. Market cap 220 crores. So dilution is somewhere around 28% again. FY25 financials, revenue 400 crores, PAT 19 crores. So they're coming at somewhere around 12 P, which is good because they have valued it at a slightly lower end in terms of where SMEs are valued. But then this segment in itself deserves like the P this segment gets is also low. So that needs to be kept in mind. In terms of the LM is Share India. So with that, just kind of very quickly covering NIS, and I'll probably try and keep very short because the sector in itself is again not the best sectors where I like to invest in. But again, as I said, the companies in facility management, ये लोग mainly जो है वो security guards और housekeeping services provide करते हैं. They are majorly Kolkata based, started in 1985. And then they got a few hospitality clients like Taj Group, Oberoi Group, उनके यहाँ ये security provide करते थे. And then they formed their own wholly owned subsidiary, which was this one, the NIS Security Facility Management. And right now they work with a lot of diverse and esteemed clients like Reliance Retail, Piramal Group, HDFC Bank, Torrent Power, एयरपोर्ट्स, गवर्नमेंट इंस्टीट्यूशंस, इन सबको जो फैसिलिटी मैनेजमेंट के लिए जो सर्विसेज लगती हैं, विच इज योर हाउस कीपिंग हो गया, उसके बाद सिक्योरिटी गार्ड्स हो गए, ये सब कंपनी प्रोवाइड करती है. और उसके अलावा कंपनी ने अपना एक कीर्तिका अकेडमी भी ओपन किया, वेयर दे एसेंशियली अंडर द नेशनल स्किल डेवलपमेंट कॉर्पोरेशन दे वर्क विद एनएसडीसी एंड ट्राई एंड अपस्किल द पीपल एंड देन गिव देम जॉब along with NIS itself. So it is in a way thought of like a backward integration कि जहाँ पे ये लोग जिन लोगों को जॉब देना होता है उनको ट्रेन भी कर देते हैं. And the government, there are some schemes where the government gives you money for the training courses if you are able to place these people. So that is what they do. The placement is with their own org. So it kind of helps to be able to do that. But that is a B2G sector. So bad receivable days, etc. But very good profitability. In terms of the, जैसा मैंने बताया, business जो है, so around 41 business is coming, 41% of business, which is 402 crores का top line इनका FY25 का, 166 crores is from security services, 146 crores, 36% is from housekeeping services. And then they have recently moved into, like 2-3 years ago, they have moved into facility management and CCTV projects, wherein जो भी ये CCTV की install होती हैं airports पे, in सब पे they take contracts and install these services, install CCTV in complete projects, which is a higher EBITDA margin and a higher entry barrier business as well. Like to be able to take projects of big scale, 8 crores, 10 crores of security CCTV camera installation. So they basically buy these CCTV cameras, buy the cables, connectors, whatever, do the wiring, and then complete the CCTV project. So think of it like a EPC for CCTV project. They do that. This is a good segment in itself because there is so much surveillance which will happen. But end of the day, this is a low moat business, and because still you are doing the manpower and the installation itself. And then some 2.5 crores is from the Kritika Academy, which is through trainings, etc. And then 5 crores is through training under other projects. So that is the high level revenue of the business. The business is very consistent. Like they have been able to make 19 crores in FY24, 19 crores in FY25, 15 crores in FY24, 15 crores in FY25 as well. So it seems that it is sticky business. They are doing what they are doing, but end of the day, this is a very low PAT margin business, right? Manpower ka business hai. So will continue to be very low PAT margin. Like the PAT margin is what, 4%. And CCTV cameras, etc. The government institution would be higher margin. They are trying to move to that segment from my understanding, but it will take some time. In terms of the IPO, जो 60 करोड़ का आईपीओ है, 8 करोड़ is OFS, 52 crores का fresh है, जिसमें से working capital is 36, and then there's a lot of money for GCP and listing expenses, etc. So good business, just that the sector in itself is slightly prone to devaluation by the market because it's such a low pat margin business that markets are always jittery ki yaar, if something goes wrong, if a client goes wrong, you have so many people on your payroll, how will you manage? Pre-IPO 4% pre-IPO tha, aur abhi couldn't find any of the names which I could essentially relate with. There was Invicta Capsar, which I don't know if it's the same Invicta or not. Then there, other than that, there were just individual names. Before I talk about the anchor book in terms of the financial performance, as I said, they did 18 crores on 405 crores. So it's coming at a PE of 11.77, which is low if you think about it. But then the sector, it tends to get a similar PE. Anchor book की बात करूं तो anchor book was pretty good, like at least like to be able to fill in a 30% anchor book through your pre-IPO, through this is good. Like that there will always be anchor. So I don't think it will die very, very soon, for the lack of a better word. There will be enough, there will be some protection of IPO prices, what I feel, because there were some names like Next Orbit, Nev Capital, etc., who have taken some stake in the IPO. In terms of the IPO peers, the peers they have shown is Quest, Sys, and Teamlease, which are trailing at 16, 16, and 27. Like again, maybe I'm wrong, but एक Supreme Facility Management करके company आई थी not very long ago, I think 3 months ago, which I feel is a better peer because it was also SME. It also had a good uh, corporate background. बहुत लंबा history था उनका. They had video at that moment of time. The IPO came at 76 price and then quickly derated to 40 rupees. The price is 40 right now, with like almost 40% of IPO price being going down. I think that could be looked at as a peer, but again want to highlight that didn't have any anchors in it. So everything was available for public on day one, which what I've seen doesn't tend to do very well. This guy has anchors. So maybe IPO price would be protected. At 12 P seems okay, but the problem is there are other good issues, so I would be skipping this issue for now. And I feel that if I still have to see that 1 hour interview. There's one interview of management where they'll still want to understand what is the growth plan, do they plan, how much they do they plan to do in CCTV, etc. It's just that SME segment is very, very hungry for growth. So they have said that they have been doing 10 to 13% CAGR, which would be eaten for breakfast, lunch, and dinner by SME segment. But I still want to see that. But I feel that even if something has to happen, listing pe mil jayega. So I will be skipping this and applying to other issues. But yeah, that is what my review of NIS was. Just seeing if there are any questions. No questions on this. Are there? Do you guys have anything to add, or we can move forward to the fifth company? Okay, moving to Sattva Engineering. Just setting up Sattva Engineering. Before I do that, I see a few questions with respect to GEM, what to do. Our review is on the channel, what we all felt about the company, and then listing, etc. After listing, we typically don't tend to talk about the companies because we may have our biases, we may have a position in GEM. So having said that, let me now move forward to Sattva Engineering and try and just set it up for Sachin. I don't have a slide for this, so I would just do a very small intro of Sattva Engineering, set it up for Sachin. It's a Chennai-based EPC company specializing in water infra, wastewater management, and industrial construction projects. Why I liked it was that it was a Wipro issue who tends to bring very, very few issues a year. So with that, we thought we'll do Sattva review as well. So Sachin, over to you to talk about Sattva.
Am I audible?
Yes.
All right. So Sattva, as you mentioned, is a water EPC, primarily in Chennai and in areas around Tamil Nadu. So their main focus is in underground sewage systems, sewage treatment plants, water treatment plants, and operation and maintenance of these plants. So these sewage systems forms 90% of the revenues, and the rest is from these operations and maintenance. Now they are trying to increase the operations and maintenance going ahead to around 15 to 20% of the revenues in the coming years. 95 to 96% of the revenues is from government contracts, as in they are operating in Chennai and Tamil Nadu, and the rest is from private. So their focus area remains on new projects, the new tenders that are brought in, and less so on the revamping of existing infrastructure. And also they do not have plans to go into the ETPs, that is effluent treatment plants for industries, because their expertise has been in these water treatment plants, so they do not have the focus to go into ETPs. Currently have an order book of around 308 CR with 13 projects ongoing, and the execution lies anywhere between 18 months to 24 months. So they are projecting that they can do a 150 CR of single order with the money that they are trying to get from IPO and their internal accruals. Their tender win ratio is good, around 50 to 60%, due to the selective bidding that they do. And they have mentioned that there is a pipeline of around 420 CR for their tenders. Like any other player in this water EPC, the H1 to H2 split is around 40-60%, and the transition from JJM scheme, the Jal Jeevan Mission scheme, to Amrit scheme is also visible in with Sattva Engineering. Now coming to their financials, they did 84 CR of revenues in FY23 when they were largely doing subcontracting work. So that came with 84 CR of revenues and 9% EBITDA. In FY24, they transitioned from subcontracting to direct contracting, but faced a revenue decline, around 77 CR of revenues in FY24, but the margins got improved to around 16% EBITDA. Now continuing with that, in FY25, they did 94 CR of revenues with further improvement in EBITDA to around 21% and 10% PAT. In the coming years, they are targeting more tenders in areas like Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh as well. They are also trying to explore new technologies like the zero liquid discharge, etc. Plus, their focus is reducing the retention money. Because of this, the working capital cycle gets elongated. So they are trying to get more cash generation going ahead. The government clients that they cater to for their revenues, around 90%, is a big risk, because that dependence then leads to higher cash conversion cycles and working capital is stuck. They also have a 3 CR of litigation from one BGR Energy, which is pending from 2 to 3 years. So that I'm assuming will likely go into bad debt, because it is also under a NCLT case. Competition is very much tight in this sector, be it listed players or unlisted players. Their IPOs, 27 CR is for working capital, and the rest out of the total issue is for GCP. So now coming to the pricing, in September 24, they did pre-IPO. It includes names like Caprice Global, Afan, Farooq Patel, which I'm pretty sure it is related to Farooq Patel of the KP Energy Group. There is also Sushil Kumar Agarwal and Prakash Diwan from Matterhorn Advisors. And I am assuming Sushil Kumar Agarwal is related to Awas Finances as well. I need to double check that, but that's what I saw from high level review. And there is also Sudhir Beda Family Office and Pritish Vora. So being an Vibro issue, these names are quite similar, like we saw in Fly SBS. So now coming to the pricing, it's around 15 times trailing, and what they are projecting in their working capital projections and what they said in the IPO meet, it's around 8 to 9 times forward basis. There are many peers, but they have specifically mentioned EMS, Enviro Infra, Vatek Vaveg as peers. Now these are bigger, better players listed in Mainboard, so they are obviously getting higher valuations. Sattva might settle in and around that region, around 16 to 20 times, if I'm assuming correct. That is what the valuation market will give it. So that is it. LMS Vibro, good reputation always. Anchors were decent as well. Mavira was there, Invicta Continuum was also there. So coming to their final review, there's increase in direct contracting is a plus. Now that is the core focus for them going ahead. Management is good as well, very experienced, and the way they express all of what they're trying to do and what they're trying to venture into is good as well. And now they are also trying to get more projects into secured funding so that the working capital constraints are lesser going ahead. So I think that it should perform well, at least what the earnings that business generates, it should perform well in terms of that. Thank you.
Go ahead. Is it only me who can't listen to Sachin?
Wasn't I
No,
audible?
I could
heard
hear.
him
I could
clearly.
hear it. Yeah, I could
Okay,
hear the whole
sorry,
thing.
I got. You broke for me in the last 1 minute, but yeah, let me know when you're done.
He's done.
I'm done. I'm done, Moish.
Okay, okay. Okay, perfect. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, thank you for covering the company. मेरा एक ही question is पे, is it still Jal Jeevan Yojana? Because from what I understand, Jal Jeevan में बहुत पैसा अटक रहा है, right? Like people are not able to get back their receivables on time. So, what do you think about the segment? I'm not very bullish on the segment as such. It's coming towards the fag end of all of these companies which came in Jal Jeevan, had a P rating, but that has also came down quite a bit. I think it's a case of a bad timing for this issue, right? Or like is how I am reading it at a high level.
The जल जीवन is at the end of his cycle, very right. But अभी हो क्या रहा है कि जल जीवन के जो भी सारे projects हैं, they are trying that have been shifted to this Amrut scheme. So, and the Amrut scheme covers a wide range of products, not just for house water thing, and it also covers industrial. So Amrut is a quite larger scheme, and it will cover better projects as well. And whatever is left in Jal Jeevan, it is trying to migrate to Amrut. So that is what the government pushes currently. There are many players in this segment. Ganesh Infra is also doing the same, and they are trying to venture into Amrut as well. This is another one. So more like a regional player. The better they operate in the region, the better margins they get.
Understood. Perfect. With that, we have covered Sattva. I would probably apply for Wipro. We'll see, but yeah, closer to the date. With that, let me move forward to the last issue for the day, which we want to discuss, and it's a Mainboard issue, and a lot of people who are essentially holding on for this issue as well. So let me just quickly set up Vikran for Tanmay. Incorporated in 2008, company is a EPC company. It majorly works in power, T&D, water infrastructure, railway infra, and solar energy segment. It's a 772 crore IPO, out of which 721 crores is a fresh and 51 crores का OFS है. Market cap जिस पे company आ रही है वो 2500 crore है, 250 crores. So they are diluting like 30% of the company, and कुछ pre IPOs भी हैं. So promoter would have around 50% if I'm not wrong. But yeah, let's see. In terms of the FY25 financials, revenue 922 crores का किया company ने, and PAT 78 crores का किया. So at 78 crores, it's coming at like 35 PE trailing. Because it is Mainboard, it is justified, I guess. In terms of the LM is Pentomath Capital and Systematics. So with that, over to you, Tanmay, to talk about Vikran Engineering.
Am I audible?
Yep.
Vikran Engineering Limited is an EPC company specializing in power. In power, there are two segments like transmission and distribution, and power distribution. Okay, and they also have like water infrastructure and small railway infrastructure segment. So if I just want to give the revenue distribution, the power T&D contributes to like 72.9% revenue. Water contributes to like 26.8% revenue, and railways contribute to like 0.3%. So like till date, the company has executed 45 projects across 14 states with an aggregate order value of 1920 crores. At this point, the company has an order book of 2442 crores. So I'll just list its capabilities. So the company has high voltage transmission lines, distribution up to like 765 kV, and substation in GS up to 400 kV, and they have already installed 30,000 plus smart meter connections. And also there's a power distribution network from 33 kV to 15 kV. The company is raising 772 crores, out of which 721 crore is a fresh issue and 51 crore is an OFS. So the company is embarking 541 crores towards the working capital and rest 180 crores as a GCP. So like GCP is like not slightly, a very high portion of the fresh issue. Coming on its financials, FY23 the company clocked a revenue of 524 crores and a PAT of 42.8 crores. In 24, company did a revenue of 786 crores and PAT of 74.8 crores, which was like 50% kind of a growth. In FY25, the company did a revenue of 916 crores, which was a growth of 16.5% growth, revenue growth, and PAT was 77.8. So PAT growth was like 4%, but revenue was like 16.5%. The company has got the highest EBITDA margin in the industry and second highest return ratios. So now this is on the back of the asset light model. Company just has like 120 employees. So company does is like outsourcing of the work. So now till this point I'm being very fast. Now I'll come to the few important जहाँ पे आपको समझनी चाहिए चीज. First I'll just tell you the clientele. The clientele is like NTPC, Power Grid, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Assam government, Maharashtra government, Andhra Pradesh government, railways and SJVN, and there are like I guess Breda भी है, बिहार भी है. तो ये सब इनका क्लाइंटेल हो गया. ठीक है. So now, the working capital they have given, so we don't have any kind of guidance, but based on the working capital adjustments they have given, data they have given in the RHP, the company is projecting like approx 45% growth in FY26. So if you just do the easy your revenue and top line, bottom line maths, revenue comes at like 1330 crores and bottom line at 125 crores. So if you just look at the P multiple, on FY25 it looks at like roughly 33 times, and on FY26 it looks at approx 20 times, like exact I would say 20 times दिखता है. So अब इसका peers देखेंगे तो peers में Transel is trading at 20 times 26, Kalpatru at 25 times 26, KEC at 30 times 26, and Skipper at 28 to 30 times 26, and this is coming at 20 times. So like Transrail and this are trading at the same valuation, like post money, and the rest are like slightly above, and case is at roughly for 50% premium. Now, talking on its capital structure, the company has done like multiple fundraisers. The major first one was at 42 rupees per share, which was led by Ashish Kacholia, India Inflection Opportunities Fund, and Sham Prasad Agarwal. The competitor second pre-IPO, which was the last fundraise before the IPO came, it was at 74 rupees per share. It was led by Everest Finance, India Inflection Opportunities Fund, Nijen, Ashish Kacholia, Mukul Agrawal, and all, and some few more investors. Now till this the picture look decent, like, but now coming on its negative. So each thing I feel we need to understand, like I'll be speaking slightly, slow from here so you can get the point. So there are multiple legal cases. The first one is a CBI case which involves some bribes and everything. There are multiple civil proceedings against the company and promoters. The third is like a few regulatory and statutory cases. And fourth is the tax cases. So art cases which aggregates the payment of damages close to 72 crores. So it's like a tax का जो proceedings है, they are like quite serious क्योंकि साल का पैट 77 है तो 72 का एक अच्छा चंक हुआ. I would say second, which is like main I feel is a negative point, is a trade receivable. तो 464 करोड़ का इनका ट्रेड रिसीवेबल था FY24, which has been inching up to 634 crores. So approx I would say 40% trade receivable बढ़ा, but revenue growth was like 16%. Okay, so trade receivables have like inched up like anything. Cash flows have been deteriorating at a very, fast pace. So operating cash flow in FY25 was at like minus 130 crores. And if you just put in the debt and the additional fundraise, तो वो working capital के बाद 165 plus हो जाता है, but it makes very less sense because the fundraising was done. Now, one more very negative point I saw in this company was a bid win. Okay. So FY23 company had bidded for 43 projects and it won 18 projects, which is like 40%. In FY24, the company bidded for 28 projects and won 9 projects, which is roughly 32%. In FY25, the company bidded for 46 projects and won just 9, which is like approx 19%. So the earlier it used to be like 40-45%, then it came to 32%. Now it is at like 18-19%, which has been very significant drop. Now bidwin is like in terms of bids they have bidded. So now coming on the value of the bids. In FY23 they had bidded for 9,306 crore ka orders. They got 2,171, which is approx 20 to 23%. In FY24 they bidded for 2,138 crores, which is a drop by like approx 60-70%, and they won for the bids for 1,027 crores, which is like roughly 45%. But let's check out the FY25 numbers. They bidded for 7,378 crores and won 701, which is like 8.5%, which is a ultra significant drop. Okay, there's one more negative. Railways have banned the company for 2 years, which due to involvement in some illegal gratification, like, there should be roughly a bribing wala. I don't see any other major, reason for this. Now the next is like order book split. Government is at 62%, PSU, which is public sector undertakings, at 18%, private is at 20%. Private used to be 34% in 24. And now we know ki there are few state governments which have been like, continuous delay of payments. The government spending has been on a back seat. And the private order books or the revenues coming in have slowed down. So 62% government and say 18% PSU. I'm not worried on that. PSUs are known to pay the payments like at a very decent pace, but the government has been on very slow note from like last 6 quarters. So this is I would say significant negative. Now there is one very interesting point which you need to understand. Very few people will speak on this is the trade receivables which are pending beyond the credit period offered by the company. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ यार? Simple. Let's say I am an ex supplier and you are the buyer. So you say to me कि यार मुझे 6 महीने का क्रेडिट दे दे और उसके बाद मैं पैसे दे दूंगा. I would say नहीं भाई मैं 4 ही महीना दे पाऊंगा and you agreed on the terms कि 4 महीने में पैसे दे देंगे. एंड नाउ 4 महीना हो चुका है और आपका मुझे अभी तक पैसा नहीं आया है. सो दिस नंबर हैज बीन 62 करोड़ विच इज लाइक 10% ऑफ योर रिसीवेबल. तो 62 करोड़ इतना ऐसा पैसा है जो क्रेडिट पीरियड के बियॉन्ड जा चुका है बट अभी तक रिसीवेबल नहीं है. सो it might come late, it might be a bad debt, or it might be a increase in credit period. We have no idea on this. There's like one more small thing कि इनका जो वर्किंग कैपिटल इज टू टर्नओवर रेशियो होता है. मतलब लेट्स से मेरा टर्नओवर 50 करोड़ और मेरे को वर्किंग कैपिटल लगा 30 करोड़, तो इट इज बी लाइक 50 डिवाइडेड बाय 30 जो 1.6. दिस इज लाइक वन एग्जांपल. नाउ कमिंग ऑन विक्रांस वर्किंग कैपिटल इज टू टर्नओवर रेशियो, FY23 it was 2.5 times, which is a very good ratio. FY24 it came down to 1.9 times, which is decent. FY25 it came to 1.35, which is poor, very poor. So I'm not able to understand कि ये like working capital का क्या चीज है. That has been inching like anything, and like I have been like skeptical on the working capital. इनको बहुत ज्यादा हद से ज्यादा working capital लग रहा है. They have done like 2-3 fundraisers. The debt has been like going. I guess इनका कुछ 52 करोड़ का interest cost है. This should have some lease liabilities for sure. Like 30-35 करोड़ टाइप का इनका रहना चाहिए interest cost is what I expect. So if I talk on the valuations, are 2500 crore post money para, which is 20 times 26, 30 to 33, 34 times 25. So let's just talking on some iska background on the IPO and the earlier valuation. So if you let's look at the DRHP, they had filed for 1000 crores IPO, and as per my knowledge, it was expected at roughly 3700, 3800 crore ka valuation. So what SEBI rule says कि in the RHP or the UDRHP you can reduce your fresh issue at a tune of 20%. उससे नीचे आप कर नहीं सकते हो, एंड OFS आप 50% घटा सकते हो, उससे ज्यादा नहीं कर सकते हो. अभी इनका 1000 करोड़ का स्प्लिट था, 900 करोड़ फ्रेश, 100 करोड़ का OFS. तो 900 माइनस 20% बनता है तुम्हारा 720 करोड़. ठीक है, जो 721 करोड़ है इन द RHP, और जो 100 करोड़ का OFS 50 होता है जो 51 था. तो दे हैव कट इट द इशू कि इससे नीचे जा ही नहीं सकता भाई. इट इज द लोएस्ट. और अर्लियर इट द वैल्यूएशन वाज एक्सपेक्टेड एट 3700 3800 crores. नाउ इट इज कम एट 2500. सो इट माइट लुक कि भाई 30-35% सस्ता है. दैट इज अ फेयर पॉइंट, बट अर्लियर द एक्सपेक्टेशंस ऑफ अर्निंग्स वर वेरी डिफरेंट. नाउ इट आर डिफरेंट. द रीजन इज वेरी सिंपल. द कंपनी इज बर्निंग लॉट ऑन द वर्किंग कैपिटल, एंड जितना वर्किंग कैपिटल आएगा उतनी ग्रोथ आते जाएगी. सो लाइक ऑन अ पर्सनल नोट, मुझे इसका वर्किंग कैपिटल साइकिल समझ नहीं आ रहा है, मुझे इनका रिसीवेबल समझ नहीं आ रहा है, मुझे इनका गवर्नमेंट डिपेंडेंस दैट हैज बीन फॉर द होल सेक्टर. And like a player like Transrail, which has been on a better capabilities and a better growth, like 25%, 20% is trading at the same valuation. So like I have a question, why should I invest in Vikrant? See, the promoter has got a very good background. He was from like BITS Pilani. He was in LNT and one of the 20 people who were selected in there, one of the what we can say courses run by LNT. Then he had joined 2-3 another companies. He had joined Bajaj. He has done like great work, but that has been decent. Valuations are, I would say, decent. मतलब इतना सस्ता कर चुके हैं कि आई डोंट हैव लाइक वर्ड्स कमिंग ऑन माउथ की और सस्ता करो, बट इट वुड हैव बीन मोर बेटर कि और सस्ते होते. 2000 crore वुड हैव बीन अ वेरी ग्रेट वैल्यूएशन. तो I feel it is not a bad company, but I have very less clarity on the working capital mismatch which has been happening. ये जो 60-62 करोड़ का क्रेडिट लाइन के ऊपर है, let's say you're working with your state governments, you're working with central government, you're working with PSUs. आप उनसे थोड़ी एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हो कि आपने क्रेडिट लाइन के ऊपर ट्रेड रिसीवेबल खड़ा कर दिया. दिस इज लाइक, इफ दिस वाज अ नॉर्मल प्राइवेट कंपनी वुड हैव सेड कि कितना अनप्रोफेशनल लोग है. बट 10% ऑफ योर रिसीवेबल इज लाइक अबाउ वेटिंग अबाउ योर क्रेडिट पीरियड which has been embarked. So I would suggest here कि let's wait for the. By the way, इसका Q1 number should be like, I would say slight growth only because working capital आया ही नहीं है. So I don't have much hopes on the Q1, but hoping कि Q3 से growth आएगा due to the working capital infusion which should happen from the IPO proceeds. और ये GCP का component भी बहुत बड़ा है. So I guess almost I would say 30-35% of the fresh issue तो GCP component, उसका क्या होगा we have no idea. शायद ये और डेट 100 करोड़ से कम करते शायद और मजा आ जाता. So listing gains, like at this point I have no opinion. I might give a clear opinion in my final verdict, but at this point I would say कि यार I would wait. It's a good company, not a bad one at all, but इसमें clarity, ifs, don'ts, doubts बहुत ज्यादा है. लिटिगेशन है, टैक्स प्रोसीडिंग्स है, रिसीवेबल्स खड़ा है, वर्किंग कैपिटल मिसमैच है, ट्रेड रिसीवेबल डेज बढ़ रहा है, प्राइवेट हैज बीन गोइंग डाउन, गवर्नमेंट इज गोइंग अप, गवर्नमेंट का काम बहुत ढीला चल रहा है आजकल. सो आई वुड वेट and let the market give it a value, और उसके बाद I would like to enter. So 2500 crore is not a bad valuation, neither a great valuation. It is somewhere in the middle. Anchor book was decent, 3-4-5 mutual funds taking like majority and बाकी छोटा चंक था, तो it was on a decent note, like 6 on 10 type का anchor book था, और better हो सकता था, but not a bad one. So I would wait personally, for the Q2 and Q3 result. अगर इसने Q2 में रेजिलियंस दिखा दी और Q3 में ग्रोथ दिखा दी तो फिर इसमें 20-30% इजी अपसाइड बन जाएगी. बट नाउ इट इज ऑन द मार्केट वेदर टू डिस्काउंट द Q3, जो ग्रोथ Q3 से आएगी उसको डिस्काउंट करना है या फिर रुकना है. वी हैव नो आइडिया बिकॉज सी गवर्नमेंट रिलेटेड कंपनीज हैव बीन ऑन अ बैक सीट, सो मैं उस पर वो रिस्क नहीं लेना चाहता. ऑन द लिस्टिंग एंड स्पेसिफिकली हु आर प्योरली फॉर लिस्टिंग एंड उसका मैं फाइनल वर्डिक्ट में जवाब दे दूंगा. सो दिस वाज ओवरऑल ऑन विक्रांत इंजीनियरिंग फ्रॉम माय एंड.
Perfect. Thank you, Tanmay. Uh, Very similar story, right? The markets are very choppy, so anything which is like everyone's erring on the side of caution per se, right? So I feel that it will continue with Vikran as well. But anything on the anchor book? Did you happen to have a look at the anchor book yet?
So, anchor book mein we saw the major allocation from Bank of India Mutual Fund, ITI Mutual Fund, Nippon. These were the major guys. Then we saw names like Nijen, SBI General, Samco, and Ashish Kachula putting some, IFL putting some, Taurus, VPK, वो सब तो normally नाम है. So, it is a typical Pantomath Capital IPO anchor book, and this saw IFL coming in. ITI Bank of India तो उनके हर mandate में होते हैं. Nijen was on the pre-IPO. Bengal was in pre-IPO. Bengal is Ashish Kachula. IMAP is like in majority mandate. Society General ODI is like in every IPO. So Samco is also in majority IPO. So I feel इसमें खाली मेरे को IFL थोड़ा नया लग रहा है. बाकी तो सब नॉर्मली है. तो it is not a bad one, but neither a great one. Like, और better हो सकता था. And I'll tell you, man, markets has been turbulent. So I cannot, I don't have words कि the anchor book is not great because the markets are turbulent. अगर शायद market better होता तो शायद और थोड़े नाम आ जाते. So I won't judge the anchor book based on the current market situation.
Plus, I found the anchor book, honestly, the mutual funds had taken like good 70% of allocation, right? So it wasn't your typical SME anchor book at all, right? By any way, shape,
No,
or form.
IPO is a big one ना यार. 25-300 मिलियन के वैल्यूएशन पे कंपनी छोटी तो बिल्कुल नहीं होती है. सो इट हैज बीन लाइक, इट वाज ऑन द एक्सपेक्टेड लाइंस, लाइक 3-4 नाम तो आपको पता ही थे ये तो आने ही वाले. जस्ट फाउंड IFL एंड कमिंग आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स, बट वो कोई ऐसा इतना तोड़फोड़ नाम नहीं कि मैं उसको बहुत ज्यादा वैल्यू दे दूं. इट इज अ गुड नेम फॉर श्योर, बट नॉट अ वेरी सुपीरियर नेम. लाइक
Got it, got it. Yeah, with that, we are almost towards the end of the space.
Yeah, I
There
can
was
tell
one
one
question.
thing. I've got multiple DMs कि Anlon कर लो. Can you give me 2-3 minutes में Anlon पे cover कर लूंगा? Like I know the company, I haven't made the notes. Give me 2-3 minutes. I can cover Anlon. तब तक आप कुछ तो discussion कर लो.
Sure, yeah, we can come back to Enlon and do a high level review, and maybe I'll also set it up before I do that. Maybe Rohit, what is your plan for next week? This week, what are you planning to apply? I know you went with Anondita, right? So Do you plan to put Anondita into Curren Infra or also thinking about Sattva? What is the plan?
So, see, personally, I am not very excited about Sattva. I know there is this Wipro element is there, but that's no guarantee. We had that, but Elegance recently, which did nothing, and actually listed down and went further down. And I think Sattva is actually very expensive for an SME. So their capabilities are mostly in water supply, which is the lowest tier. They're getting a little bit into the sewage treatment plants and all, but it's like there was this other company, VVIP, which came some time back, which now trades at 12, 13 P. The Mainboard, like an EMS, trades at 15, 16 times. A very, very fast growing Enviro Infra trades at 20 something, like early 20s. So there's no, this guy's capability is nowhere there. So I am honestly very negative on it. Negative from a pricing standpoint. So if at all it gives a pop, I don't think the pop will sustain and it will die. So if there are funds, I will apply and exit immediately. So I'll take a call whether to apply or not at the end. Current Infra at least has left something on the table relative to the segment. So that's probably the only one I'll apply for this week.
NIS is a avoid for you.
NIS is a straight avoid. Vikran का देखना पड़ेगा थोड़ा actually. Vikran also, some of these that come with a 1 year forward multiple don't always list that well. Like Vikram Solar is a good example. This, what was this other one that came? MBEL is a good example. These both listed very weak because on a trailing basis, they don't look that strong. So if you want to make a position, you can just buy it on listing at probably flat. And if the market is bad, probably lesser also. So Vikran looks more like a post-listing kind of move. List and run if it is actually trading at 20 times forward. Again, Transrail is a company I know well. I've held it for a very long time and it has eventually paid off. But it took a long time for the market to actually rate it like its peers. Whereas this guy is coming exactly at that valuation. So I'm a little tentative about Vikran also.
I really like how you're saying 6 months as long term.
When did this list?
Months is absolutely nothing. Like if it's getting reviewed in 6 months, what else do you?
Yeah, I mean,
we have investors beyond all everything on listing. Keep us lit kara do acha.
Yeah, actually,
but yeah,
6 months.
with that,
Okay.
yeah, 6 months is absolutely nothing. if the stock is moving 60% in 6 months, that is insane.
Yeah, good. I mean, that is the re-rating you want. I mean, that was why Transrail was attractive. Some of these don't give you re-rating. They'll give you earnings growth, which is you wait 6 months and probably you'll get 25, 30%. Which obviously is okay, but not what you're hunting for. Yeah.
Got it. With that, let me move forward to Enlon. It's a 120 crore IPO from Interactive Financial. Just setting it up. It's a chemical manufacturing company engaged in pharma intermediaries and active pharmaceutical ingredients, i.e. APIs. Company did a top line of 120 crores in FY25 and a bottom line of 20 crores. The market cap is 483 crores. So it's coming at 24 PE trailing. That is with respect to Anlon Healthcare. So with that, Tanmay, can you now take up Enlon?
So I'll just tell you, I have like prepared in 2 minutes. So I'm going to miss on like 20-30% and I might give a very brief, I would say descriptive analysis in the final verdict. Hope I get the time for it. So Anlon Healthcare is a Rajkot-based chemical manufacturer which is engaged in the production of high purity pharma intermediates, API which is advanced pharmaceutical ingredients, nutraceutical APIs, personal care APIs and veterinary, which is your like, animal care APIs. This APIs and the intermediates are used in the preparation of finished dosage formula, which is your FDF. The company is one of the few manufacturers of laxoprophium sodium dehydrate, which is a very important and notable API, which is for pain, inflammation, which is caused due to your arthritis, back pain, frozen shoulder, etc., etc. So I'll just give the revenue breakup. The finished dose formulas, which is like FDF, contributes to 63%, API contributes to 27%, nutraceuticals for 9.5%, like 0.5% for the animal care. So the company currently has 65 commercialized products, 28 at the pilot stage and 49 in the laboratory stage. The company is raising 121 crores, out of which the company is embarking 30.7 crores for the capex, raising 43 crores for the working capital, debt repayment for 5 crores and GCP of 42 crores. So again, 35% of the IPO is GCP. Matlab, the biggest chunk. I don't understand why always the GCP is the highest one. Coming on its financials, the company did a revenue of 113 crores and a PAT of 5.8 crores. In FY24, the company did a revenue of 66.7 crores and PAT of 9.7 crores. So it has been like roughly 40% decrease in the revenue. In FY25, the company did a revenue of 120.5 crores, which is, I would say, 25 or 24 versus 25 looking would be less relevant. I'll tell you the reason. 23 to 25, they have done like 5% kind of a growth, and PAT was like astonishing 20.5 crores, जो बहुत अच्छे से बढ़ गया just before the IPO. So, the reason for the FY25 decrease in like 40% top line was the shutting down of the plant due to the I guess Brazil related regulatory. उन्होंने like कोई तो regulators से उन्होंने बोला था कि आपको आपके plant में ये changes करना पड़ेगा to get the approval for manufacturing. Like वो होता है ना regulated markets में products भेजने के लिए आपको उतना changes करना पड़ेगा. तुमको 3 से 4 महीना plant shut down करना पड़ा. But I still feel उससे शायद 25% टाइप का impact आने था. 40% क्यों, I have no idea. A company is coming at a market cap of 484 crores, जो FY25 पर 23.6 times का पी है, 23.5 का पी अप्रॉक्स. इसका जो प्री आईपीओ होता है वो 49 रुपीज पर शेयर पे होता पिछले साल. अब 91 पे आईपीओ आ रहा है. ठीक है. I'll talk on this slight negatives. Trade receivables have been increasing like anything. Cash flows have been on a poor note. Top 10 your जो revenue है वो 86, like top 10 customers इसकी 86% contribution करते हैं. Suppliers is more than 90%. अभी इसमें वन ऑफ द मेजर नेगेटिव्स में एंकर बुक है ही नहीं. एक्चुअली थी बट वो आई नहीं, क्योंकि दैट शुड बी आइडियली ऑन द बैक ऑफ वेरी पुअर डिमांड. क्योंकि इसके आरएसओ में एंकर का डेट दिया था, एंकर बुक आई नहीं, मतलब एंकर भरी नहीं, या फिर दे हैव डिसाइडेड और टेकन अ कॉल टू नॉट गो एड विद द एंकर बुक. अभी I know one negative point which I guess I did not went to the RHP due to the lack of time. शायद मेरे को 5 मिनट मिल जाता तो मैं कर लेता, but it was out from a IPO call कि इसका अप्रॉक्स 25 से 30% रेवेन्यू जो कंट्रीब्यूशन था in FY25 that was from a distributor who used to further distribute to the companies, जो B2B वाला सेगमेंट था, and that guy has met a road accident. ठीक है. और अप्रोक्स उस पे 30-35 करोड़ का रिसीवेबल खड़ा था. सो द कंपनी हैज गॉट जस्ट 5 करोड़ आउट ऑफ इट, और बाकी का जो 30 करोड़ था, 25 से 30 जो भी था, ये दिसंबर 25 तक रिसीवेबल होने का उम्मीद है. बट देयर इज अ डिसेंट चांस कि ये पूरा बैड डेट हो जाए और पार्शियली हो जाए. इफ अ कंपनी गेट्स अ कंप्लीट, वी आर मोर देन हैप्पी. एंड इफ दिस हैपेंस, जस्ट थिंक, जो कंपनी ने जिंदगी में 50-60 करोड़ का पैट किया, उसके लिए 30 करोड़ बैड डेट हो जाना is a significant negative. Okay. Now, अब इसका ग्रोथ कैसा है? So the IPO call happened, the promoter had like given openly the guidance of like 50%, like बोला 180 का टॉप लाइन करूंगा मैं और कुछ 28 का पैट करूंगा. That was he had said in the IPO call, which was for open for the in the public domain. But जो इसका वर्किंग कैपिटल का इन्होंने दिखाया है डेटा, उसके हिसाब से दे आर प्रोजेक्टिंग 10 to 15, आई वुड से 15 to 20% ग्रोथ, 10 से 20 में मान लो, इन FY26, और 27 दे हैव शोन लाइक 30-35% ग्रोथ. सो इसका मैं आगे का प्रोजेक्शन कर नहीं सकता क्योंकि बहुत वॉलेटाइल डेटा है. आई हैव नो बेस टू कैलकुलेट द अर्निंग्स, तो आई वोंट गो इन दैट डायरेक्शन, क्योंकि वो मोस्ट लाइकली टू इट कुड बी अ रॉन्ग फ्रॉम माय एंड, एंड आइदर शायद मेरा कैलकुलेशन में गलत हो. देयर इज लाइक वेरी हाई चांस. अब इनको और एक चीज है मुझे समझ नहीं रहा, केपेक्स क्यों कर रहे हैं. सो देयर आर, आई वुड से देयर आर वन नेगेटिव, वन पॉजिटिव टू इट. फर्स्ट नेगेटिव आई वुड बी कवरिंग इज कि इसका यूटिलाइजेशन खाली 52% है, 52% है. स्टिल एक बड़ा केपेक्स कर रहा है. सो वन माइट से कि यार यूटिलाइज नहीं होता, केपेक्स क्यों कर रहा है. आई फील द गुड रीजन इन दिस इज कि इनका खाली एक प्लांट है राजकोट में, एंड दैट वाज इंपैक्टेड टू द प्लांट शट डाउन इन FY24. तो वो उसको मिटिगेट करने के लिए और एक प्लांट डाल रहे हैं. सो उससे वो रिस्क मिटिगेट हो जाए और वो फ्यूचर में अगर ऐसा कुछ शटडाउन लेना पड़े तो वो बहुत सिग्निफिकेंट इम्पैक्ट ना है, इज व्हाट आई एक्सपेक्ट, एंड आई फील दिस इज अ वेरी वुड से रीजनेबल रीजन टू डू द केपेक्स. तो मैं उसको निगेटिव नोट पे नहीं लूंगा, मेरे को दोनों में से एक जगह पे तोलना, आई वुड टेक इट ऑन अ पॉजिटिव नोट. I saw one UK-based dormant entity having 25% stake in this company. उस पे मैंने बहुत ज्यादा स्टडी नहीं किया है. I'll be covering that in my final verdict. इनके like 90% I'll be covering. थोड़ा बहुत 10% शायद. I'm not committing, but most likely I should be doing the final verdict. तो वो LM is interactive, जिसका लास्ट IPO का था वैलेंशिया, वो एक क्लब वाला 200 करोड़ वैल्यूएशन. सो इट हैज बीन फॉलिंग वेल आफ्टर 60-70% उड़ गया है वो एक महीने में. So shareholders have been on a good rocky ride. So I would suggest कि at this point you should avoid the IPO. इसका Q1 Q2 देख के आराम से इसको evaluate करेंगे. So looking at its product portfolio, मुझे बुरा नहीं लगा, बट ये जो 26 में शटडाउन की लेना पड़ा, ये जो इनका वो जो यश एंड IPO कॉल की भाई वो हमारे डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर का एक्सीडेंट हो गया, वो 30 करोड़ यार, वो अगर रिचेबल अगर बैड डेट हो गया, इवन द पार्ट हैपन, उससे कंपनी 30% नीचे मिलेगी. सो आई डोंट वांट टू टेक दैट रिस्क फॉर श्योर, एंड आई वुड वेट फॉर द Q1 रिजल्ट. और उसमें जो कॉन कॉल होगा, होप इट हैपन्स, उसमें फिर सवाल पूछ के अगर क्लैरिटी मिले तो वी कैन वर्क आउट ऑन दिस कंपनी. LM का ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड बहुत ही ज्यादा सराहनीय है इन नेगेटिव एंड. तो द लास्ट Mainboard डिड डन वाज SRM कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. एक्चुअली आई वाज वेरी बुलिश ऑन दैट कंपनी, बट उसका 65% प्रीमियम था, 1% ऊपर लिस्टिंग हुई थी. सो दैट हैज बीन द पास्ट. इट वाज अ गुड कंपनी, बट इट लिस्टेड जस्ट एट 1.5% अप्रॉक्स प्रीमियम. 64% का प्रीमियम था उस पे. I don't know अभी क्या प्रीमियम चल रहा है इसका, because there is no trades happening in the grey market. So I would be avoiding the IPO. Q1 देखूंगा, कौन कॉल हुआ तो सवाल पूछ लूंगा. Q1 रिजल्ट देखूंगा, उसके बाद I would take a call. It is not a bad company, but neither a great one for sure. उन्होंने पीयर्स में बहुत कुछ एक्यूटास केमिकल एमी ऑर्गेनिक दिखाया, वो तो अलग लेवल के प्लेयर है. क्रोनॉक्स दिखाया है, क्रोनॉक्स इज एट लाइक आई गेस 24-25 P ओनली. बट क्रोनॉक्स का भी एक ऐसा है भाई, उसमें भी ऐसा थोड़ा था कि यार यूटिलाइजेशन नहीं था, फिर भी केपेक्स करा, बट दैट उसका एटलीस्ट कैश फ्लोज है डिसेंट. हाई प्योरिटी केमिकल्स में वो दैट हैज बीन ग्रोइंग एट लाइक 20% कंसिस्टेंटली, इसमें कोई ऐसा दिक्कत नहीं, क्लीन बिजनेस है. सो उसको लाइक पी देखना है तो ऑलमोस्ट वो भी सेम ही पी पे होगा. सो 25 P टाइप्स पे, ये 23.5 पे आया तो कुछ बहुत डिफरेंस नहीं है. सो आई वुड सजेस्ट टू अवॉइड टाइप पे, बाद में इसको इवेल्युएट करेंगे.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you, Tanmay, for covering Enlon as well on a short notice. With that, maybe we are towards the end of the space. It's been 1 hour 20 minutes again. Thank you so much, everyone, for sticking around. We will put this on YouTube. If you haven't joined the YouTube, go ahead and do that. The link to the same is in the pinned comments. With that, we will take your leave and hopefully see you again next week. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you.
Thank you everyone.